This week, we're flying all the way to Bangkok to have dinner inside of an old plane. We're going to be eating at a pretty wild restaurant inside of an old Lockheed L1011 TriStar. This was Lockheed's last attempt at making a passenger plane. We'll dive into why they're not making passenger planes today and also see what this fine dining thing is all about. Let's get into it. What's the one thing you really want to do when you get off the world's longest flight? Shower? Sleep? Eat some land kitchen food? No. Get on another flight, of course. So that's just what I did. Somehow, this was my first time flying economy on Singapore Airlines. I've kind of done the reverse ladder there. I started in business class, then premium economy, and now economy. And I think I've gotten more impressed the lower we go. I get the hype now. Their economy is genuinely impressive. They've got nice planes, nice seats. The in-flight entertainment is good, as we talked about in last week's video. Despite this being a pretty short flight, it was about 2 hours and 20 minutes. There was a whole dinner service that tasted better than it looked. There were hot towels and they came around and offered everyone wine. It was just remarkably decent. It's clear to me now why people choose Singapore Airlines, even if it means paying a little more.
All right, so let's go check out this plane restaurant. It's a little bit fancier than I usually would dine. I have to wear pants. There you go, I'm wearing pants. My booking's at 8 p.m. I think it's 7:40 now. It's like a 20-minute bike ride. So I'm gonna get there right at 8 a.m. But yeah. So that's kind of cool.
It's probably a good time to talk about what we're actually getting ourselves into here. Like literally, what is this plane? This is a Lockheed L1011. These were medium to long range wide body trijets produced between 1968 and 1984. This was Lockheed's final foray into passenger aircraft. Nowadays, they're Lockheed Martin, the world's largest military contractor, the maker of the AGM-158XR.
XR offers an affordable, low-risk solution that can be rapidly fielded and deployed to the U.S. military. By leveraging the mature JASSM-LRASM production line.
There's just something about the way that he says JASSM-LRASM there that just... Anyway, let's talk about the Lockheed L1011 TriStar. It's a pretty fascinating plane with an interesting backstory behind it. It all starts in the summer of 1965. At this point, Lockheed wasn't producing passenger planes. Their last was the Electra, and they stopped producing these in 1961. So they've been out of the game for a few years. They were primarily bidding on military contracts, making military planes, stuff like that. But they were working on an SST program. At one point, both Boeing and Lockheed were being funded by the US government to do design studies for a potential supersonic plane. Boeing was designing the 2707 and Lockheed was working on the L2000. As some of you may know, Boeing ended up getting the contract. It ended up getting later torn up by Congress, and there's a whole hoo-ha about it. But essentially, Lockheed had this big design team. At its peak, it was about 1,200 engineers, all working on designing this supersonic plane. But of course, the US government stopped funding their development, and so they stopped working on this design. And what do you do with 1,200 surplus engineers? Well, at about the same time, American Airlines was seeking a medium-sized wide-body plane to serve short transcontinental routes like New York to Chicago, New York to Miami. They wanted a more cost-effective solution that didn't require the massive capacity of the upcoming 747. They were looking for some of the efficiency gains that came from wide-body planes without going all out on a huge 747. Because at the time, the other competing planes were the 707 and the Douglas DC-8. These were both quad-jet narrow-body planes, and so they wanted the efficiency of a wide-body plane. So they approached Lockheed and Douglas and Boeing to design a new aeroplane. Obviously, Boeing had too much going on with the 747 and the supersonic plane. Both Lockheed and Douglas were both interested in trying to develop this plane for American Airlines. Lockheed didn't have a passenger jet after they weren't selected for the SST program, and Douglas was looking for their next thing after losing out on a few military contracts. Both of the manufacturers were interested, and so they both went forward in designing a medium-sized wide-body jet. Lockheed's design, the L1011, was actually a really great plane. It was incredibly technologically advanced for its day, it was incredibly quiet, it had very advanced autopilot functionality, it could take off and land without any human touch. And they also did some interesting designs around passenger comfort. They included options like a lower deck lounge, built-in air stairs, they also had a lower deck galley with an inbuilt elevator system so you could send meals up and down between the levels.
Food service will be prepared in the below-deck galley, equipped with modern, advanced ovens, freezers, and facilities, which is connected to the main cabin by 2 electric lifts.
It was just a very modern plane for its time.
While I was editing this, I found these clips from TWA. I'm just gonna put in like 30 seconds of them because I found them really interesting.
Now, only a few years later, we have a plane that's even more comfortable, even more advanced. TWA's 1011. We've made part of first class a dining room with big, comfortable swivel seats. You can even make reservations as you would in a restaurant. We put in unique 2x2 seating, so you'll never be more than 1 seat from the aisle. But what's most important isn't that it's big and comfortable. It's that it's the most advanced plane ever built. In fact, it uses some of the same technology that landed men on the moon. If you liked our 747, you'll love our 1011. It's what an airplane should be. And that's what makes TWA what travel should be.
Lockheed took this approach of, if the technology didn't exist for this plane, they would go and design it, they would go and make it, they would go and invent it. So why didn't the L1011 work out? They ended up only selling about 250 of them over the lifetime of the plane, whereas the break-even point for Lockheed was about 500. Firstly, they weren't first to market. As I said, Douglas, who at that point had merged with McDonnell to make McDonnell Douglas, were also competing for this medium-sized wide-body plane. They developed the DC-10 to compete directly with the L1011. They had very similar specs. They were both 3-engined, they had similar cabin capacities, similar range, but McDonnell Douglas took a different approach in development. They pushed to get the DC-10 completed as quickly as possible and on budget, even at the cost of safety. And this strategy paid off. Lockheed intended to get the L1011 out before the DC-10, but there was a whole bunch of complicated delays by Rolls-Royce, the maker of the engines for the L1011. Lockheed went with Rolls-Royce because they were willing to design a brand new engine specifically for the L1011. But Rolls-Royce basically went bankrupt during the process of building the RB211. They eventually had to be bailed out by the UK government, and there was this whole deal where the UK government would only bail out Rolls-Royce if the US government would guarantee Lockheed's loans, and long story short, this caused significant delays. Lockheed was finishing L1011s, but they couldn't install engines, and so they were just piling up at the factory, and this delay really hurt them. The DC-10 took away initial orders, including from American Airlines, who ultimately chose the DC-10 over the L1011. I guess another issue with the design was the fact that it was a trijet. Why did it have 3 engines? This was mostly about ETOPS, or Extended Range Twin Engine Operational Performance Standards, or as some like to say, engines turn or passengers swim. This is a set of safety standards by the International Civil Aviation Organization that outlines how far away from an airport you can fly with a 2-engined aircraft. These standards didn't really come about until the mid-70s, almost 10 years after the initial development of the DC-10 and the L1011. At the time, you couldn't operate long overwater flights with just 2 engines, hence the 3rd engine. But this meant that once the A300 rolled out and later the Boeing 767, the L1011 and DC-10 became wildly uneconomical in terms of fuel efficiency. Either way, Lockheed couldn't make it work. The L1011 was their final go at the passenger market. I guess one final point about the DC-10, that rushed on-budget approach from McDonnell Douglas led to it being a pretty unsafe aircraft, at least initially. Cargo doors were blowing off, there was issues with the engine pylons, and it was just generally regarded as not a safe plane. And I think this design philosophy with McDonnell Douglas has unfortunately rolled over to Boeing when Boeing acquired them in the 90s, leading to some of the issues, or most of the issues, that we're seeing at Boeing today. Anyway, I never got to fly on the L1011. There's only one left flying in the world, the Stargazer. It's used by Orbital Sciences. They're a part of Northrop Grumman for research flights. They have rockets mounted to it. Don't think I'll ever get to step foot on that one. Hey, at least we get to go and eat on one. I guess I am getting to step foot on one. But yeah.
So this whole thing is like, the plane is just a part of it, I guess? Let's go do the dinner and then check out this interesting plane
place. What? Yeah, restaurant. I had a reservation for 8 p.m.
For one person?
One person, Simon Dean.
I am so very lonely.
Wow.
Nothing.
That's perfect. It's a bit quiet and a bit fancy, isn't it? Look at our 6-course menu here. I've never done a 6-course tasting menu, so I can already tell you this place is expensive. Okay.
This one first complimentary bush.
Okay.
It's called Nori Tabu. It's at the top of hot with lamb jade and crispy noodles.
Okay. Thank you.
So much.
Thank you. I did not get a thing of that. I guess I just ate it. Right? I kind of can't even describe what that tastes like. It's like a cracker filled with like, it's kind of creamy. It's like a really creamy guacamole with something on top of it. And it was half a bite of food.
Yes, okay. And for the first start, we serve cap salad
Okay.
and a cap meat we use from Surat Thani. Everything together.
Mix it all together and then, okay. Mix it all together. Oh, there's crab down the bottom of it. The crab truly is the predominant flavor. It's crabby, it's fresh, it's very small.
So for the second starter is
Yep.
the fancy tomato salad.
Okay.
The gazpacho serpent.
This was a gazpacho. It's a sort of soup, isn't it? I guess we... That's a very elegant cracker. It's incredibly sweet. I'm not sure if this fine dining thing is for me. I truly am a bit of a man of little words at the moment, just because this place is... This whole thing is weird. This restaurant is weird. Look at my view this direction.
For the next one, it's going to be the soup. The soup is still in its pot.
Okay.
For the soup, we use the fresh scallops to make it.
Fresh scallop.
And- Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Wow. And so the dumpling inside has got
It's
scallop.
scallop pudding.
It's a mochi dumpling with scallop inside. I'm really not feeling this one. That was something. It's kind of very much not actually plane themed, it's just in a plane. Oh, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's a Noah's Ark theme. It's called NaOh, Noah's Ark.
For this corn, we serve mango mousse
Okay.
with sweet fish sauce. You like a mango?
Yeah.
Almond.
Crispy bake.
Crispy bacon. Bacon, yeah.
Okay, bacon.
And on top of it, mango mousse, mango gel, mango
Okay.
caramel, right?
I do not know what to make of this at all. Is that gold powder? He said to just try it all at once. Okay, this one's weird. It's basically a mango mousse. Is it a fish sauce, but it's chili? It's like a sweet chili Thai sauce almost. And at the bottom there's just crispy halibut, I think he said, and bacon as well. You can't actually really taste the fish or the bacon flavor. Again, strange, I just kind of want the mango mousse by itself. It's like they've chucked on fish sauce. I think there might literally be edible gold on this one. It's probably the best one so far. Okay.
This one is a main course.
Yep. So this one's a rolled chicken, so apparently there's different textures going on. And then there's an asparagus on top with some baby carrot, black garlic, I don't know. Just crack into it, I guess. So it's all rolled together. So there's different textures, but all I'm thinking about is a sausage slice. Like one big slice of a big sausage. Alright. That is a sausage. It is good. Yeah, I would definitely eat more of that. I guess the problem with that one being so normal to normal food is that I'm really judging it as normal food. The other ones were so out of left field that they are truly an experience. This one's just kind of like, oh, it's a massive slice of a chicken sausage.
This one is a white chocolate mousse. Then we burn it first and make a mousse out of it.
Try each layer first. This bowl is magnificent. Look at the bowl. So it's a cherry port wine sorbet, white chocolate burn mousse. And then there's a cinnamon butterfly on the top there. It's like hollow. Interesting. Try each layer first, was the advice. I don't think I like the sorbet. See, it makes you think that it's like a raspberry sorbet, but it's actually not. Altogether, they work all right. The cherry port wine sorbet, that is an acquired taste. It's wine sorbet, cherry wine flavored sorbet.
Have a walk around?
Yeah, I might, yeah, just.
So you can also go down.
Okay.
It's small garden.
I guess this is the cockpit. That's an interesting seat. They've really gutted it. Is this door the only thing left of the plane, maybe? Got the windows. So yeah, there's a whole lot of things happening outside. We'll have to walk around there later. But... Whoa, what? Okay. What is this? Interesting, eh? Oh, so that's actually the... Wow. That was interesting, wasn't it? I mean, would I do it again? Not by myself. Probably do it with someone though. It'd be quite fun to do that with someone. I think that's the whole point, isn't it? Look at that. It is a pretty epic thing to dine in. Oh wow, the wheels, they move.
How did this L1011 end up here? As a fancy restaurant in this pretty chaotic night market? Well, this particular model was first delivered to Delta Airlines in 1974. They flew it up until 1999 when it was parked for a few years. According to the registration records, it was briefly owned by Jet Midwest. They're essentially a plane trading company based in Kansas City. Bit of a tangent here, but I got completely lost in their website for a while. They sell plane parts and whole planes. They even have a YouTube channel with 255 subscribers. They have this industry podcast, but they also make videos that are basically ads for the planes that they're selling.
Thank you for joining me on this exclusive tour of this 777-200ER. If you'd like more information, please contact us at Aircraft.
Crazy. If anybody from Jet Midwest wants to hook your boy up with a tour, please reach out on Instagram or email me or something. Back to the L1011, it went back into operation in 2005 with Tai Sky Airlines. They were a short-lived charter airline that was set up primarily to operate flights for tour groups, traveling from Hong Kong to Thailand. They operated 2 L1011s for a little over a year before grounding operations due to a lack of spare parts. They were one of the last operators of the L1011, so I mean, what could they really expect? They attempted to fly a 747 briefly, but the airline completely ended operations in October of 2006. The plane was stored in Bangkok until 2016 when Thai clothing designer Mr. Somchai purchased the plane to turn it into the centerpiece of this creative park, Chang Chui. The plane was disassembled into 20 pieces and transported here and then reassembled into the glorious restaurant that we just dined in. Now look, this was an interesting experience, but I think, if I'm honest, I was a bit of an idiot here.
I am stupid. I am stupid.
After researching the history of this plane, I realized something. There is an absolute boatload of these plane cafe restaurants all over Thailand. The other Tai Sky L1011, yep, that one was converted into a cafe about an hour west of Bangkok. There was also a Las Vegas Sands L1011 that was written off here during the 2011 floods. That plane is now at a market in Nong Khai. There's even this crazy place called Coffee War, just south of Pattaya. That has an L1011, a 747, an A340, and an A330. 20 minutes east of Bangkok Airport, there's a whole L747 Cafe. That would have been pretty awesome to visit. Basically, Thailand is full of these plane restaurants. Instead of having aeroplane museums that exist all over the world to show off and commemorate planes as pieces of history, Thailand just turns them all into restaurants. Why does this happen? Why does it happen here? Basically, in the 2000s, lots of second-hand aircraft made their way to Thailand and joined random airlines like Tai Sky. They all went kaput pretty quickly and their aircraft were scrapped. Instead of just breaking them down for scrap metal, and with Thailand being a massive tourist market, they're instead turned into restaurants, cafes, and markets. I couldn't find the details on how much the L1011s were sold for, but the A330 at Coffee War, that particular frame was bought for a grand total of $330,000 USD. Obviously, there's quite a bit of work that goes into them to turn them into workable cafes, but it's not a crazy amount more than just building a new fancy restaurant. And of course, they come with this big marketable value. So definitely come to Thailand if you want to dine in an old plane, but don't necessarily come to NaOh. It's clearly the one that's gotten the most social media attention, but there's tons of other options here, and some of them are way less stripped down, with cabins and cockpits still intact. This dinner cost 1,500 Thai baht, so around 65 AUD. I think it's more like $85 if you do it today, though they've upped the prices. It's definitely on the more expensive side, especially in Thailand. Quick note about fine dining. I'm definitely not a huge fan, but after doing some reading, I think I understand the concept. I'll read this quick quote from Chef Thomas Keller on the topic. Our whole menu is based on the law of diminishing returns. The most compelling portion of a dish is in the first 3 or 4 bites. With the first bite, you're getting into it. By the second bite, you're starting to realize it. And it's at the 3rd or 4th bites that you get the maximum appreciation and pleasure from that dish. And you keep eating because of that memory of it being really extraordinary. But was it as good at the end as it was at that 2nd or 3rd or 4th bite? No. I get that idea. But to me, food is not just about the initial flavorful bite. I think there's something about the satisfaction that comes after completely filling up on a delicious dish. Anyway, enough about that. I hope you all enjoyed that video. Check out flightformula.com. I've got some tools there that help you get and use frequent flyer points. Go subscribe to Wine Tracker Plus. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.
Simon? Is that Simon?
What's Simon?